Hey everyone, look who I'm here with. KasumiKriss in the flesh. So yeah, this is such an interesting experience to be in London, and then to, I figured I'm in London, I might as well make a trip to the Netherlands to see Kasumi, since I don't know when the next time I'm going to be here is. So yeah, I thought it'd be really interesting if we could just talk a little bit about how meat eaters and vegans can come together, because I think it's so important to recognize that it doesn't need to be this dynamic of us against them, or there being different teams or something, or this idea that once someone makes a shift in their diet, it means that we can't be friends anymore, or we can't
Exactly.
relate to each other anymore. It's a shame when you see that happen in life, and yeah, I just want to talk about that.
True. Yeah, I agree with her completely, because it doesn't, we can have different opinions about things, but it doesn't mean we can't be friends.
Right.
Imagine you having different political views than me, and that's the reason we cannot talk or sit down together.
And it prevents understanding from happening, because I feel like a lot of these people, like the vegans and carnivores, I feel like we're all much more similar than we like to realize. I kind of feel like we all have the same goals. Everyone's just trying to find the optimal diet in a way that can help the world around them as well, and we just take completely different approaches to it, but it's still the same goals. It's not like one group has the goal of destroying themselves or destroying anyone else. It's we're all just doing what we feel led to do and what we feel like is the right thing to do. And I think that when we close ourselves off from people who have opposing beliefs, we prevent any kind of understanding and progress from actually happening. I feel like the way to actually make progress is to figure out where the common ground is, and to build on that, I kind of think. I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I agree with that, because if you don't understand someone else, that is how you will build those walls.
Yeah.
Against someone, you will probably find them weird and say mean stuff to them, but
yeah,
if you try to understand the other person's point of view and why they're doing certain things, yeah, it's just way better to comprehend what is going on and why they do those things, and you will create that bond together.
Exactly.
For example, I recently switched to a different way of eating because it has made me feel a lot better. And if I cannot be, if I don't feel good from within, I cannot offer help to anyone around me. I cannot be of help or provide service to anyone, because I was literally almost bedridden. I couldn't move, felt really bad, no energy, and now I'm getting that back, and I'm feeling really a lot more alive, and now I'm able to help outside myself. I'm not stuck on the inside, so I can.
Yeah, I
mean, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and it's interesting for me to hear, because for me, because you said you were a vegan for how long now? 4 years?
I was 4 years.
4 years?
4 years. And I was really trying to make it work, and trying to understand all the sides of it, and really trying different things. And I was also somebody that didn't want to be dogmatic. So I think that's also a very important thing, to not be closed off and to thinking this is the only way and that's how it works.
Yeah, and for me, I've been a vegan for about 5 years now, and I'm coming from a different perspective because I've never eaten meat in my life. Well, actually, that's not true. I had it on accident, but but I mean, I've never meat has never been a part of my normal diet growing up either. So for me, it's very interesting for me to hear this perspective, because for the past 28 years, I've been feeling fine without it, but this has gotten me questioning things of whether or not it can truly work for everyone, or if maybe it works for some people and not for other people, or how likely it is that there is one diet that everyone is supposed to be eating. Because I don't know at this point.
I also I've come to the understanding now that there isn't, in my view, that there isn't just one diet right for everyone, because we're all coming from different places on Earth, and whatever grows naturally around you, I think that is what you should be consuming. Or if you cannot if you aren't able to grow a lot of produce, foods, grains, then yeah, you will resort more to the animal products because those have like larger energy content. That's what I think. Like people who live close to the water will probably fish more than people who live inland and in the tropics and can live more off of fruits or those kind of things. And I think over the years and years, people adapt to a certain way of eating, and they have their microbiome in such a way that they can get the nutrients out of these foods in a better way. So people in the north will consume more animal products than people living down in the south, because what grows there. And I think over time, probably people in Europe and up in the north, they have gotten used to getting their energy from animal products, because they didn't have much else around them. And for example, just this little example, probably it wasn't really easy for me to convert, get vitamin A from certain plant foods. So that conversion wasn't probably happening within my body, but now those levels are up since I started consuming animal products. So you need to really look at the person specifically, what they can consume and not. So I don't think there's like literally one diet best for everyone.
Yeah, and even then, it's like I don't even know if I necessarily agree with like always taking a scientific approach, just because there's studies to back up every point of view. It seems like I don't know. From my perspective, it seems like people have a feeling about something, and then they'll find whatever study can back up that feeling. And I do it all the time, and I'm sure other people do it too, but it's just kind of like for me, what it comes down to is my emotional guidance system. And like, I know for myself that I don't feel capable of killing an animal. So because of that reason, I don't feel like I should be eating one, because I don't feel like I could actually go through with killing it. And so for me, it doesn't make sense for me to be eating it. But when people, like, you know, there's that popular question that a lot of meat eaters ask vegans about, well, would you go to Africa or go to South America and tell these tribes living off the land to go vegan? And everyone's answer is different to that, but I always thought, like, no, of course not. I'm not going to go and tell these people to go vegan, but I also feel like they have a completely different understanding of what it means to live off the land. Like, I feel like these people are literally living in alignment with nature's instincts, and when the right time to kill an animal comes, they can recognize when that time is, because they're living off of those natural instincts in a way where it's like they can feel when it's the right time to do that. Versus now, when we're living in like cities and everything, and people are so disconnected from their food, I feel like people aren't always aware of like when that right time is, and they just do things out of habit, or they do things out of like this feeling of necessity, or I don't know. There's so many layers to this, but we can go back and forth arguing all day like of what the right diet is, but I really wanted this video to just address the way that we communicate with each other and the way that we relate to each other when we have opposing point of views, because I know when you came out with your videos of changing your diet, you got so much hate from people. Like, there were so many people sending you death threats and telling you to like go kill yourself, and people telling you that you were like a whore or a bitch, and just like, that was really shocking for me, because me being a vegan, I've always approached this lifestyle through a loving lens and coming through things from love, and to see the amount of hate that you got was shocking for me, because it just showed me something, that it doesn't matter what you're eating. If you have hate inside of you, it's going to come out no matter what you're eating. And it's like,
yeah, there's so much more to do with the personality than, because I think I'm very, very similar to you. I really in those years I really wanted to make it work. I was doing my best to stick to it and trying to make the best out of it. But what I wanted to say, like, there's this belief system, I think, that is when you go vegan, there you have this belief system, but you're still this type of person on the inside. You can still be an angry person following this belief system, or be a kind person and following this belief system.
right.
So what I experienced, for example, being vegan doesn't mean that you're the kindest, compassionate person or something.
Right.
It all comes down from who you are on the inside, and those, for example, those comments show me that there's really a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
No matter, like, you can be vegan, but what the things those people were saying were not kind and compassionate. They didn't want to understand where I was coming from. Maybe I said some things that they didn't understand in the video, but then to just call me names.
Yeah, it's not.
And that happens with a lot of other people. Like, I could have also gone silent with this, just not make a video about it, not tell anyone about it. But I think things like that we have to share because we can learn from it. But it just really tells a lot about the person if they are just bluntly calling names.
Right, definitely. And it's interesting, like, because like the different approaches that we've had to it. Because I did see in one of your videos you were talking about how a lot of new vegans kind of feel like they know everything, and they start to listen to these really young people who really have no experience. And for me, it was very opposite because, you know, personally, my elders are vegetarian, and it's like my elders are always talking to me about vegetarian and how we shouldn't be eating meat. And like from a very young age, my father was always talking to me about veganism. Like he was the first person I learned about veganism from growing up as a kid, and he was the first person to go vegan in our family. So for me, it's been like a very different experience. And for me, like when I hear about these people having benefits from eating meat and everything, it is a very new, I almost feel like it's going to be really interesting to see the way this all plays out, because I feel like like the popularity of all of these diets is very recent, of veganism and of the carnivore diet. I almost feel like the carnivore diet is like born out of a response to veganism, maybe. I don't know how you feel about that, but maybe there's like I just wonder if there's ever going to be some kind of a middle ground where like it doesn't need to be all one way or all the other way, or if there's just maybe there's another option besides vegan and carnivore, maybe the vegetarian path, I don't know, but like maybe there's maybe not even vegetarian, maybe there's a whole other dimension of eating that none of us have even tapped into. But
yeah, I think this is a more like a YouTube thing. Like, I would agree that
yeah,
people are just making these like kind of groups,
right?
And because I've been diving into what traditional cultures have been eating. I have recently purchased a book from Weston and he has been, for example, to many outskirts of the world where it's really hard to get to. For example, Inuit families, the isles of the Polynesian isles, and that was in the 1930s. And the conclusion of that book just really showed those people. He was a dentist, so he was really looking at the facial structure of a person's face, the tooth, because he saw that the Western countries were having a lot of crooked teeth, narrow faces, so the teeth became really, crooked. But he went to these traditional cultures where they didn't have contact as much with Western foods and culture. And he noticed that their dental health was a lot better, like almost zero, no existing cavities, and they had broad faces, good aligned teeth. And comparing that to the Western diet, comparing those traditional tribes to the same people that were following more a Western type of diet, so they imported food from white people. More grains, more sweetened baked products, marmalades, canned vegetables, and those kind of things. And once they got into contact with that, generation upon generation, they started to deform. Like, this could be seen as a lack of nutrients in their diet, but to me it has shown that these people are living long, healthy lives, just eating from their own land. They hunt themselves, because I also find it strange buying meat in the supermarket. Like, it's not like I eat meat, but I do find it strange to just get my prepared meat out of a super. I think that's still a weird thing to me, and I always found that as a vegan as well. Like, why should you go to your supermarket and get some meat? But what I've seen, that those are really healthy, vibrant people that had 0 tooth decay, and they don't even brush their teeth. They were having doing strong physical labor, women up until 60, 70 years old, just carrying stuff on the mountains. Very healthy bodies and those kind of things. And now myself, when I look around in just in the city centers, people are hunchback, they have a really weird posture, the narrowing of the face and those kind of things. It shows that there's something wrong with the diet. We are not eating foods that we were traditionally meant to eat. So I definitely think whole foods is the best way to go, like real foods, not processed foods. And I also do believe that there are people that really cannot get nutrients from plants only. There are people that need it from animal products, because those are, for a lot of people, easier to digest, and that's what I have experienced myself. For years I was not wanting to touch any animal products again, and it led me to become very bloated and have a lot of digestive issues. And since I started eating meat, I don't have these issues with bloating anymore or feeling uncomfortable after eating. So that tells me something about my body. It doesn't have to mean with yours, because you're saying you haven't even eaten meat your entire life.
Yeah.
And these issues, probably we don't even have those similar issues. So it just shows me it has a lot to do with your genetic upbringing. Where are you coming from? What is your constitution? Where do your parents come from? Where your parents' parents come from? What have they been eating all their lives? And I think that plays a way bigger role than the science that is now being put out there.
And even like, I mean, I definitely resonate with what you're saying, and I think that like, I mean, luckily I've never had a cavity in my life. Like so far, like my teeth are pretty good. I mean, I have had braces, but aside from braces, even before braces, my teeth, I only had a gap between my two front teeth.
Too.
Really?
Yeah. And I also still have a crooked teeth, but I did not wear braces for mine, so like crooked.
Well, yeah, like aside from that gap, I didn't have any like crooked teeth or anything. It was just that one gap in my tooth. But yeah, I've never had cavities. Like, even though I'm consuming, I guess, a lot of sugar with all the fruit and the smoothies and everything and like all this stuff. But luckily, so far so good. It's been like 5 years now that I've been eating this way, but I'm open to changing if I have issues down the line. But again, for me, it kind of comes down to, even more so than the science, just like, yeah, my emotional guidance system. Because like, I could, like, if I were to go and eat meat, for me personally, I feel like I would need to go and kill the animal myself so that I know what went into it. But I also recognize that it's like, if you're in a period of darkness and you are just so desperate for a solution to your issues, why you would choose to go eat meat, because you just want to feel better. And so I understand that. And so I think that there just needs to be a way for all of us to talk to each other about this without getting so emotionally reactive, because I think that prevents from any real growth happening. And so I think that if vegans and carnivores can understand that, instead of attacking each other, instead of like calling each other names, instead of like, and that's the thing I see happening on both sides too, because I see vegans, you know, ripping apart carnivores, and then I see carnivores ripping apart vegans. Like, I also see that. I also see a lot of like carnivore channels who kind of like make fun of people's appearance and like make fun of like calling them names and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to help anyone or help anything. I think that the way to move forward with all of this is to, like you said, just really be open to hearing the other person's perspective, and really be open to admitting that maybe you don't know everything. I recognize that I don't know everything, and I mean, I think it's just important to be constantly reevaluating things and to constantly be intaking as many new perspectives as possible, because that's how you grow.
That's a big lesson I have learned from my vegan period to now just consuming meat again, that I thought I knew it all, because I binge watched McGregor, Dr. Gregor's channel, and all these other plant-based doctors, Neil Bernard, Dr. Furman. Like, people really accuse me, like, you didn't do the vegan diet right, you don't know all these doctors, science. Like, I watched all these, and I also watched the general vegan channels. Like I dug really deep into this, but I only dug deep into that and nothing else. I thought, because I thought to myself that this was the only way and this was the right way, and that already blocked my vision. It made me have a tunnel vision to not look outside of the paradigm of veganism. Mm-hmm. It was once because I also didn't want to click on any video of people that were consuming animal products. I just completely blocked it out of my whole existence. And then I started listening to the video of Jordan Peterson with Joe Rogan. I think I followed Joe Rogan for like a year when I was vegan for 2 years, 3 years. Then I started watching Joe Rogan because I didn't want to as well, because he talked a lot about meat and hunting and those kind of things. I was never against hunting though, but it kind of opened up my look, that I saw, yeah, there are people doing well consuming some animal proteins. Yeah, perhaps maybe they're really not doing well, I don't know for sure, but it seems like. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the podcast from Joe Rogan with Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about how he was doing on this diet that his daughter suggested him, so only eating meat basically. And I was like, what? I remember my boyfriend also mentioning that he only eats meat, and he looks really good, my boyfriend said. And I just kind of wanted to put my hands like this, like I don't want to hear about it, like whatever, he's gonna die of a heart attack. Like those were the thoughts in my mind. And then I opened up to it, I listened to his story, and I listened why he was actually doing this, because he's also been having a lot of problems with depression and not feeling well. And him mentioning that within 3 days his anxiety lifted. Like he would always dread coming out of the bed in the morning or feeling really bad, and I was experiencing that similar thing. Like I had to push myself off the bed because my joints were not feeling right, and I had to do a full moment of concentration to get my day going, or else I was just feeling really bad and already full of anxiety in the morning. So there were so many things that I resonated with him. And then I listened to Micaela's story, all her troubles with arthritis, and I also read the book of Jordan Peterson, so that already introduced me to the issues she had as a child. And just hearing her story, it was 100 times worse than I had, but there were some similarities to the way she was reacting to foods, the way she was feeling, and the depression and anxiety she had. It was all so similar. And then to think that just eating meat would help resolve these symptoms was a totally new perspective for me. And that kind of opened me up to look more into this. And at that moment, the vegetable police went into this carnivore diet. A guy who I followed for years.
Me too. I followed him for a long time. Yeah, and I saw that whole change. Yeah.
So I thought, this, like, what is happening? Like I was just opening myself up to more information, and I thought that what could a bit of butter and egg, could that really hurt me? Because I was also terrified of foods in some way, and definitely for animal products. So I just started to incorporate these foods, and I noticed a change instantly in the way I felt, my anxiety, my depressive feelings, and it was so significant. Like if it wasn't that significant, I wouldn't have made a video like that. It was such a change in my mental health and in my physical health that I remember I sat at the table and I was just reflecting my whole life. Like all these 4 years went by in my head, and like it was such a big change. I don't know where I was going with this anymore.
No, it's okay. I mean, I feel that, I mean, like, it's like, yeah, like if you're saying all this stuff, it's not like I can just like say you're lying or something. It's like, if that's how you really, if that was your honest experience, then I have to accept that and like and understand it.
There's also people that say that you're just super addicted to these things. You haven't gotten rid of your addiction. But I haven't consumed meat for 4 years. 4 years, no meat, no dairy, no eggs, no animal products. I remember when I just turned vegan, I gave it up also really easily. I didn't have any addiction to it at all. No cheese or whatever. I remember standing.
It was
in the
hard for me to give up
supermarket.
cheese.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was.
It's delicious though. Like I remember me standing in the supermarket with a packet. Like my boyfriend at the time then said, "Hold this packet of cookies that I want to buy," and there was milk in it. And I just stood there and almost had to cry because all those flashes of those what they do to cows and stuff went through my head.
Yeah.
Like, I was so intensely into this and trying to make it
So
work.
I am kind of curious then, you know, because with the animal cruelty aspect stuff, like with like how do you reconcile all of that with the because I mean you've seen all that footage and everything like that. So how do you think about it differently now? Because I think that, you know, health aspects is one thing, but for me the ethical stuff is what makes me stick with veganism, because I know that I don't know how it is in Europe, but I know at least in American farms, like I've been to these free range organic like humane farms, and a lot of times it's not what they advertise themselves to be. It's like the chickens are still crammed in a tiny room and the cows are still hooked up to these, you know, machines and everything. And so even though it says the word free range and organic, it doesn't always mean that that's what it is. So I know that there are people who just say you have to just literally go and visit the farm yourself to know for sure. Mm-hmm. But even then, yeah, like how do you reconcile all of the animal cruelty stuff with your new shift?
Yeah, I'm still 100% against farm factory. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spend my money on that, not promote it. I feel horrible about that, and I do my best to consume animal products of high quality where I know which farm it is coming from. I have this the organic butcher. It's called the Groene Weg in Rotterdam. It's also in some other places in Holland, but they go to really top quality farms, and I do think the quality of meat, dairy and eggs is also from just what I've heard, because I've never been to America, it's way better. Mm-hmm. Like the amounts and the kinds of cheeses we have here, how they are produced, the eggs, meat, it is, I dare to say, so much better than in other different countries. The food, the quality and the hygiene over here is really big. And from where I get my animal products from, there are a lot of information about them. They filmed at those farms. They show what they do exactly, and also the butcher knows exactly when and where it comes from, when it is slaughtered. Like they know exactly what they're doing. So I feel better to get it from there, because they know the animals, where they came from, and it's really trustworthy. But I do think in general, just food quality and how they deal with the animals over here is way better. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I also wanted to deny that to myself before, because I never also looked into it. I thought it was everywhere the same, but there is a lot of difference between some countries, and with the regulations, the rules, how they treat the animals, how they how they should take care of them, and those kind of things. But yeah,
it's interesting. Oh, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, the only thing that you can taste the quality, like of the meat and the dairy and egg products here, how good they are compared to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I feel like, and that's the other thing too. You mentioned Jordan Peterson and everything. I watched his interviews, and I watched the interview with Micaela and everything. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like there is maybe just a difference in the way that people perceive things, because I hope this doesn't sound rude, but I don't think he looks good.
All right.
like when I see Jordan Peterson, for some reason, like when I see him, I don't think, I mean, not to bash him or anything, like I actually really resonate with everything he talks about, like his values, like the way that him as like a teacher, as a lecturer, like his book, all that kind of stuff, I really resonate with. But just from a pure aesthetic like looks-wise perspective, I know it might be kind of shallow, just the way he looks, to me, I don't look at him and think, oh, that's someone who's healthy.
Have you seen him before and after?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and for some reason it doesn't look healthy to me, but it also could be because like my idea of what, sometimes I wonder if anyone really knows what healthy really looks like. I feel like we're all coming from this with different angles. Like there's some people who think that healthy looks like having a full face, and then other people who feel like looking healthy is like more leaner. Like everyone has like a different idea of what health is and what health is supposed to look like. So I think that also plays a huge role in the way that we perceive these things too. I don't know.
In general, I would say, like, for example, my perspective of health, like, it doesn't really have to do with anything with if you're handsome or not. Or if
no, not handsome, yeah.
But, if you have clear skin, if your hair is nice, thick and shiny, you're not too overweight, but you're also not too skinny. Eye bags, the lips, if they're dry or not. There's so many of these little things, these new nails. These little nuances can already indicate like if somebody is having health problems or not, and those you can look for yourself. Like, let me eat this type of food for a time period and see how my nails and all those things are doing. Eat it in a different way and I see how my nails and hair are doing. Because, for example, I noticed I need a lot more fat in my diet than I was doing before. Even though I was chugging down my avocados, chugging down the coconut meat. Yeah, I did felt a little bit better when I was doing that, and eating more protein shakes. It did tremendous help already for me in that little period. So trying out these nuances with yourself and feeling and looking at yourself in the mirror, how these things are going can have this indication of healthy or not. But it can indeed, for many people or cultures, have a different indication what is truly healthy looking.
Yeah,
but I think there is some general baseline.
I feel like I see healthy people, what I perceive to be healthy people and unhealthy people on both sides, honestly. Like I see vegans who look healthy, and then vegans who look unhealthy. I see meat eaters who look healthy and some who look unhealthy. I feel like I see it on both sides. Like even for myself, I noticed that my skin and my hair like drastically improved when I.
You have beautiful hair.
Thank you very much. When I got rid of animal products, but then you said that you were experiencing hair loss and stuff like that.
It was thinning out so much, and it was completely like dry and brittle, my hair.
Wow, like see, like for me that was so the opposite. Like my hair became so much more soft and so much more like easier to manage. Like before it would always be so frizzy and so like dry, and now I feel like it's more just like naturally moisturized. Like I don't put anything in my hair. I literally just like shower and but again, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier, that maybe it's not a one diet fits all kind of a thing. Maybe it is more something that it's almost like it's your body is like your own like a puzzle, and it's like everyone needs to figure out, it's like your duty to figure out your own puzzle for yourself in a way that works for you, and also in a way that can align with how you feel about things. Like because I don't necessarily, because again, with the whole carnivore thing, the thing that still kind of makes me feel a little bit off about it is the fact that I wonder if all of these people were killing the animals themselves, I wonder if they would be eating as much meat as they are, and also the variety of meat that they are. Because sometimes I see carnivore people who are eating like bacon, chicken, and steak all on the same plate, and it's like, if you were doing that in nature, you would literally be killing those 3 animals and then butchering them and then doing the whole thing at the same time, or just like, so that's still something that I have questions about.
I agree with that, because there are a lot of people because that's the thing with YouTube. They make it this a whole a diet, like a cool thing, like only eating meat, wow.
Right.
But I think it's ridiculous if you're chowing down just steaks the whole day and nothing else, or like you don't even care where your meat is coming from. This is then not from a perspective out of like true health or wanting to eat natural, but you're doing it more for the fun and the trend that is going on. But I'm coming out of this. I've always been really interested in health. I want to look healthy, I want to feel healthy.
Yeah.
But I also am very interested in natural things, in nature. What, like, if we didn't have supermarkets, where would I get my food from? That's how I think. And I also see it as really weird as how these people are promoting the carnivore diet with all these tons of meat, and many are not thinking about the nutrient content. For example, I've learned that yes, I need to probably look more into fish as well. I really love fish, like more than meat actually. Cod liver oil, liver in general, eating organ meats, because those are where a lot of nutrients are stored in, and you don't see many of those trendy carnivore people giving much eye to that. Like there's much more behind that, and then that's what I think you should look at these traditional cultures. And there were also some cultures that only ate one time meat a week. For example, the people that lived in the Swiss Alps, they mainly lived off of rye bread and cheese, and they had meat once a week, and they were tremendously healthy people. But then you need to take into context where they're living and where most of their fat soluble vitamins are coming from and other kinds of nutrients, because those people could run into deficiency if they're only sticking to one type of food, cooking it in one certain way, which also reduces the nutrient content, and they will end up with other types of problems. So they're not approaching it as from a kind of health perspective, a natural perspective, and that is what I'm really trying to do. I'm not just following this trend, oh, everybody's going carnivore, let me go carnivore. It's like, I want to be healthy, I want to feel healthy. How can I do this in the most natural way and the best possible way? For example, I have started eating raw liver, and I've now gotten to a point that I really enjoy eating that just raw, without anything on it. But I do this to make sure to get the vitamin C and vitamin A and D, which you can also of course get from eggs and stuff, but you need to get the whole spectrum. You cannot, I said this a couple of times already, but I think I agree with you that they are also not approaching it from a good health perspective.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this also gets into a whole other topic of conversation about the natural thing, because I totally understand that approach of like, yeah, if we didn't have grocery stores, how would we be eating? What would we be doing? I get that, but I guess like where I'm coming from with this whole vegan perspective is that, to me, it's like I don't want to be going back to how things were before. I kind of want to like see life as a constant evolution, and it's like, for me, it's like to go back to how things were before. I almost feel like maybe that's kind of like going backwards or something, or like I kind of see life as like an evolution in a way where we can transform things in a way that can help everything and help the growth of everything without it. But the thing is, the way we're doing things right now is very clearly having a negative impact on a lot of things. But I think that, like,
I think that there was a lot of change just in the recent years, like 50 years, 100 years, where we have detached ourselves from more traditional ways of doing it. It hasn't been so much time that we got into the place we are now. So I could also question that from, is this really part of our evolution, or are we misusing some tools we are having now?
Sure, I'm sure it's that. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think on both sides, like, like the factory farming is definitely misusing tools. The same way that spraying vegetables and fruits with pesticides is misusing those tools. It's like there's stuff happening on both sides that doesn't seem to be happening in alignment with what is truly best for people, the animals, and the environment. But I do wonder if there is just another option. Like, if there's another option besides either of those things that none of us have considered, or just like, I don't know, it's interesting to think about. But this video is getting kind of long, and we should probably get our day going because we got some stuff to do before I have to go back to London. But damn, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, I wish I could talk with you the rest of the day. I wish you could stay here.
I know, me too.
This is too short.
I know, you should come to Chicago.
I will. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna come.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really, 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 really nice to see you, like in real person, and we look like kind of sisters.
Don't we? I feel like we have very similar facial structures, like, and we're both on no fat, and I was gonna say what else we had in common today, but maybe I won't go there because it's kind of personal information.
But you look my sister.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's really fun.
What should we do for the thumbnail? Maybe we should like pretend like choking each other. I could have the I could have the clickbait title.
Battle it out. Yes, like how vegan gays like with the PS with a knife like this.
Should we do it? Let's see. Like. Alright, perfect. Alright, you guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' perspective on all of this and what you guys think. Be sure to follow KasumiKriss on YouTube, Instagram. Put all those links in the description box below. And yeah, make sure that whatever you do, you're coming from love. I love you guys so much.
Sorry for my Chinglish. My English is not so very well sometimes, but I hope you understood me. And also, if you're here for the first time, go subscribe to Alana, her channel. She has really a lot of fun videos.
Awesome.
And a lot of good talks as well.
Thank you.
She has a really nice personality. And now that I've met her in real life, she's just the same. And
yeah.
So.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all a lie.
Actually, when the camera goes off, she's gonna kill me.
All right, you guys. Love you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Kidding.